David Knudson has had an incredible musical career, having played with Botch, Miles the Bear, and releasing music under his own name. What makes David's playing so interesting to me is that he completely redefined his approach to the guitar twice. This is a huge feat that most players never get to do once, let alone twice. He's influenced countless guitarists in the metal genre and in the alternative rock genre. Today we're going to look at how David Knudson played guitar for Botch and Miles the Bear, and look at approaches for each band that you can incorporate into your own playing. Now I just want to give a little disclaimer here. I am not David Knudson, nor have I ever talked to David Knudson. This is what I have picked up from watching him play, listening to his music, and reading interviews. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the video. It's hard to describe the feeling of listening to Botch for the first time. It's like getting punched in the face in the best way possible. The riffs are intense, the music is amazing, and it's super heavy. A lot of that in-your-face feeling comes from David's guitar playing and his approach to writing the riffs. Throughout Botch's discography, David uses a musical device known as dissonance. Dissonance can be described as a tension or a clash resulting from the combination of two disharmonious elements. Examples of David using dissonance can be heard in songs such as Mondrain Was a Liar, Transitions from a Persona, and Huttons' Great Engine. Let's look at Huttons' Great Engine. The opening chord for Huttons' Great Steam Engine is when you hear it, it has a lot of tension to it. It's because it's based around a tritone. A tritone in non-theoretical terms is an interval that two notes clash at. When he plays that chord that's based around a tritone, it catches your ear, as opposed to this. If I play a version of the riff without the tritone, and then play it with the tritone after, you can hear that it doesn't hit as hard without the tritone. If you break down the intro from Transitions from a Persona, you'll hear that when played together, the chord sounds like this. If I take out the clashing tritone, notice how it doesn't catch the audience's attention? Now, the reason why David can get away with doing all this dissonance is because he always resolves it. And that's what you have to know if you want to do this yourself. Notice how in Transitions he goes, that ending here into the resolves that intro. He uses dissonance to build tension and then releases it. Notice how in Huttons he immediately leaves that chord. He uses that dissonance to grab your attention, punch you in the face, and then goes on his way. And then does it again. If you're trying to do this in your own playing, I wouldn't stick with the dissonance for long. You want to grab the audience's attention and then move on. Though David uses it a lot, he does use it sparingly. So he's not going... He uses it for a section and then moves on. Just keep that in mind when you're using it. Don't go overboard. When you're using dissonance, you've got to be able to resolve out of it. I remember one of my guitar instructors in university told me, Cole, you can play any note you want as long as you resolve. And this is especially true with dissonance, because when you use dissonance, you typically go out of the key of a song. So you need to bring it all back. So if you do this, you need that resolve, or you need to bring it back. You can't just... You don't want to do that. Remember to resolve back, because then the use of dissonance will not sound as you want and the listeners may hate you. Sonically, Miles the Bear and Botch are polar opposites of each other. Botch was metalcore, while Miles the Bear takes influences from IDM music, dance music, alternative rock, indie rock, you name it. It's a whole amalgamation of a bunch of different musical ideas that works really well together. We're going to look at how tapping and looping changed David's approach for writing music in Miles the Bear. One technique David uses a lot when writing parts is tapping. You'll hear this throughout Miles the Bear's discography, and to me it sounds like he's trying to emulate what a keyboard would do on a guitar, which is similar to how he uses the Line 6 DL4, but we'll get into that. An example of this is Pachucha Sunrise. When he plays the intro to Pachucha Sunrise, When he's playing that, it sounds to me as though he's approaching it as a piano. Left hand playing the chords, and right hand playing the melody. It's similar to how some guitarists now, such as Yvette Young, play the guitar, approaching it as though it's a piano. But David's approach is especially unique as he's in a vocal alternative rock band, so he needs to sit behind the singer. And a perfect example of this is the verse in Patricia Sunrise. So the tapping part continues, but it changes underneath the vocal to this. He adds in the bend to add some color, but he keeps it pretty simple, and that lets the vocal melody shine through. So that's super important in David's playing. Whenever he's tapping, he's usually not going crazy, except for maybe Cold Company, where it is pretty speedy, especially before the verse. But he's always playing to the song, especially when vocals start coming in, as calculated and understated. He's playing all the notes that he needs to play, and he's making each one of them count. So if you want to do this in your own playing, what I'd recommend doing is scaling back your tapping. What I recommend doing is, one, listening to the song and listening to your singer if you're in a band. Listening to what their melody is and trying to play around that. Then I'd recommend trying to find a melody for yourself to convey with one hand and a chord in the other hand, to kind of take that piano approach that he does, and then go from there. Work on ideas like that. Now you can't do a video on David Knudson without talking about the Line 6 DL4. If there was a global ambassador for this pedal, it would definitely be him. This man revolutionized what you could do with this pedal. There's a reason why he had 4 of them on his board at one point. He's talked about how this pedal has helped him bridge the sample-based styles of IDM music and rock music. The DL4, and especially the looping function on it, essentially gave him the opportunity to have an MPC on his pedal board. He would do all his sampling live on stage with this pedal, and you have to watch some of the Minus the Bear performances because it's pretty wild seeing him do this. As far as I know, they didn't use click tracks, and the whole band would play to him doing this, which is absolutely insane. Now let me try and show you how you can do this. I'm going to give you a very basic lesson on how to use a Line 6 DL4 for looping, and show you how David Knudson would use it. First, let's record a little lick. And you'll notice, it just keeps looping on and on forever. This is where the play once function comes in. David Knudson uses this all the time. This allows you to trigger your loop from the start whenever. The next function on here is the tap button. This lets you record your loop at either full speed or half speed. I recorded at half speed, so check this out. When you record your loop at half speed, the pitch goes up by around an octave and it gets faster. David utilizes all these functions when he is looping. The function he probably uses the least is the normal play button. He's usually triggering in the loops manually with the play once function instead. So I'm just going to do a little improvising with this and show this function. You can already hear that Minus the Bear looping sound coming in. Now if I have it sped up, what I did there was I flipped it so that I played the loop in reverse. That's why it sounded different. That's a cool function he also uses. Now when you add guitar on top of that, you can create some really cool textures with your playing. Check this out. So if you want to try and incorporate looping like David Knudson does, what I'd recommend you do the most is learn your looper inside and out. As my dad would always tell me growing up, you need to learn how to use a piece of technology fully in order to push its limits. Whether that means reading the manual or just practicing with it for hours and hours on end. If you also want to incorporate it into your playing, I highly recommend not getting 4 DL4s at once. One will be perfect for you to start. Maybe down the road you can get 2, but 1 is really plenty of fun. If you want to do this in your own band, I recommend practicing the drum loops or a metronome because it is hard to get the loops 100% in time, especially if you're doing the play once function. I would stick to just looping chords or small little licks to start, and then you can try and do more and more different things. As far as I'm aware, David Knudson for the most part just loops smaller little parts rather than 16-bar phrases. If you want to use the line 6 DL4 or any looper like David Knudson, you have to get into the mindset that the line 6 DL4 is your instrument as well. I highly encourage you to watch any videos of Knights and you will see how David Knudson plays the line 6 DL4. He plays the line 6 DL4 like it's his instrument, because that's what it is. It is doing the same thing that his guitar is doing for him. He's playing it. You want that mindset going into this. If you think of it as just a delay with a looper setting, you probably aren't going to have as much fun with it. The last piece of advice is just have fun with it. Mess around, get some weird sounds. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, making music and having fun. So we covered a lot today, so let's do a little recap. In Botch, we looked at how David used dissonance to make his riffs stand out. In Master Bear, we looked at how David uses tapping to bridge the gap between keyboard and guitar, and we looked at how he uses looping and the DL4 as a secondary instrument. Thank you so much for watching this video. What guitarist would you like me to cover next on this channel? Put it down below in the comments section. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel a lot. And if you'd like guitar lessons from me, I'll put my email on the screen here and in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Colji, and I'll see you in the next one.